It is Saturday, the 2nd of November. What's going on as we start to near the elections? What crypto news do we have? And what's going on in terms of price? Are we going to go up or are we going to go down? Let's dive in. Take a couple of questions at the end as well. So GM, and welcome. So firstly, there's a lot more institutional demand. Institutional demand was what really helped in the previous cycle, and now it's coming on, like the gas has really been turned on, and we are definitely growing, which is going to bring in the retail as soon as they turn on, as soon as they've basically accumulated enough, is my opinion. So early next year, it's just going to be absolutely nuts. So UBS is a big bank, and they're launching tokenized financial assets. There's not a lot of details on this, and even getting like a bit of an AI summary on this. Don't really know exactly how it's going to work. Like, will this be just getting USD treasuries that are tokenized, or would it be like a like an ETF kind of thing with ETH or BTC? I don't really know, but basically your normies, 99% of the world are just people with normal people without the kind of crypto exposure like this, not 99%, but very, very high. These people will be able to avail themselves of this, especially maybe your Gen X or your boomers that don't have the same kind of interest in this kind of speculative asset, and they've made their money off real estate, etc. So they could appeal to this, which would do very well for them and very well for us. Now, remember, we're close to the election, so expecting choppiness is very, 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 very easy to kind of understand. Another thing to keep in mind is that, like, from the trading friends that I have, they're not trading this. They're not trading this with leverage. It's just too risky before the outcome of the election. However, I'm certainly expecting us to go up, but Sol kind of hit some resistance, and now we've come back down. So if you're trading it, you'll probably hit your stop loss potentially, unless you've got not so leveraged up. Overall, a little bit of red in the market, but we're still greedy. We haven't gone fearful because I think the markets are aware of the fact that we do have to see what's going to happen in terms of elections. And October was actually pretty decent. It wasn't anything special compared to this one or this one, but it was still up. It was still October. And so now what's going to happen? Maybe this is Moonvember. I like Moonvember, and I think that it certainly works. From, a couple of days after the presidency is announced, up we go. There is, however, apparently some strong momentum emerging from Binance futures in BTC and ETH. The same pattern is emerging not only in BTC, but also in ETH. And, when you see the whales move, you will see them accumulate, and then it takes off. I'm not necessarily going to put on an ETH long in any way, because I just, at some stage it will come back, but it's just hard to outperform BTC or outperform Solana. But if you want to look into it, it could be worth your time. Florida's chief financial officer says the state holds over $800 million in crypto-related investments, which is cool, but also crazy. The fact that, they're going to the speculative asset play. I'm not sure how that's actually happened, but it has. And just keep in mind that this election, as election comes closer and closer, the US election week in Bitcoin's history has been the lowest price it will ever be again. So it's always uncertainty. So just keep that in mind. And it doesn't really matter who's going to go up. Sorry, it doesn't really matter who's going to be in terms of markets. So this is a similar take to Jason Pizzino. Basically, under Biden, under Kamala, under anyone, still growth happens. Growth happens because it's a new technology, and new technologies grow. So as an example, like mobile phones at one stage, they would have had a lot of resistance from government supporting them and getting the bands auctioned off, like the cellular bands, but they still pervasively went throughout the entirety of the world, and basically everyone has a mobile phone. So Bonkai thinks, having a more pro-crypto president would result in a more aggressive bull run, especially for alts. But regardless, it would be, it's going to go up. And when in doubt, of all these things, just remember that money's flowing in significantly. BTC, $54 million in net outflows, however, and ETH ETF saw $11 million in net outflows. But in general, you're seeing a lot more money come in. Just sometimes these people, they play the markets. Tether's announcing the launch of Dirham pegged stablecoin on Ton. Now that's used in a couple of different countries use it, but referring to UAE here, so Dubai, Abu Dhabi, etc. But I'm really unsure about DeFi that's happening on Ton. If anyone knows, you're welcome to tag me on Twitter, but I haven't seen anything properly used. Superteam, if anyone's got some creative skills, this one's a good one. This is from ETHFuse, 9K. And what you need to do is create a usable DeFi site for yourself, and you win 5K and the domain stable.fun. So kind of cool, but it's going to require a little bit of skills. But there'll be a lot of people out there that want to try a project like this. Give it a go. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn some skills. Now let's talk about opportunities in the market. Keep in mind that I am the Validator.com general manager, and you should be staking the vast majority of your SOL directly with validators, and it should be validator.com. However, if you want to DeFi a little bit, use Kamino. Then bbSOL is ramping up on Kamino. It's not a perfect thing for me because it uses Ray and not Meteora. Having said that, Ray has been performing very, very well, and I hope there's some sort of utility added to the Ray token in the future, but it has been performing very well. It's performed significantly better since the bottom of the bear market, or since November 2023, not bottom, but since before everything kind of started to boost up. So the current APY is 23% with boosted fees. So that's kind of decent. If I was going to play this, because you're going to have very little in terms of impermanent loss or divergence loss, I would jump in with this until this dropped too low. But as I said, I'm not playing it, and for the vast majority, it's just staked directly. Messari, I'm thinking we could go through Messari as our own standalone video with nothing else, because there's so much alpha in Messari. But here is the Q3 kind of update. 130 product keynotes at the Solana conference, 2 crypto native phones and gaming devices, ratings growing, 29 projects raised a huge amount of money, PYUSD markets increase, etc., etc., etc. 4 debit cards, just as a reminder. I mean, you can use them all if you want to, if you've got enough in real life expenses. But one thing for sure is use CAST, and I've got a referral link. It should be below. PayPal stablecoin PYUSD. This has increased significantly, and now we're probably going to get more and more competition on this front. And to be honest, as long as it's trusted, I will go wherever it's the lowest borrow rates. This is a good competition for everybody. And another, key point: 29 projects on Solana announced funding rounds, raising a decent amount of money. So you do need the VC money initially to get yourself off the ground. Otherwise, if you try and bootstrap it, it can be quite difficult. You can see a lot of smaller guys out there that have tried to bootstrap, and it doesn't get that kind of initial attention. Solana Calendar, nothing too much here, but you can have a look through here. Solana ecosystem calls coming up, the general things. LMAO.fun. Haven't tried that, but you could give it a go. The next Solana ecosystem call is Thursday, November 7th at 1 p.m. UTC. So we will still do our live stream at 4 p.m. This gives us enough time to get amongst this. And they even do in real life meetups if you're keen to do something like this. Now, the cool thing about this, just as a very quick tangent, is I really would be excited if other ecosystems did anything like this. And if I wasn't so, I'll even make an effort maybe in December to go to the Lisbon meetup if there is a super team one in Portugal. And you should try and do that yourself. But if there are any ecosystems that are doing this, this is probably, I think, one of the most bullish things, is just getting out clear messaging of what's going on, what the improvements are in the space. So if there are any other cool ecosystems, like I think Near, cool, Sui, cool, Da, I've got my kind of eye on, Ton a little bit. If you know of anything that's like this, let me know. I would happily include that as well. We have a little bit of a hint here from the dupe cadets, dupenuary or no dupenuary. I think we're definitely going to vote for January. We don't know what we're going to get. I've covered it before. No, just speculation, but use DCA, use limit orders, use perps, vote, do all these things, maybe collect some POAPs. Unsure on that though. But January will go ahead. I'm certain of it, but I don't think it's going to be as big in terms of an airdrop because that will just dilute everyone. Price will go down. It'd be a very easily shorted event, which is not going to be what people want. If you're not using Drip, sign up to Drip. You don't need an invite code. You just need like 0.1 SOL in your wallet, I think. And there's a new Dupiverse collectible, and they're also airdropping some USDC and Dupe to our top thankers. So that's pretty cool. This is from Jupiter Uplink team, and these are cool, cool creative things. Divvybet, there's a token generation event update, and I'm hoping that maybe Monday or Tuesday we can do a chat, and we can get all of our questions answered. But for anyone that's keen on this, I won't mention it again till Monday when we do a video. But this has a few of your questions answered right here. At present, there's been no really hyped launches on Solana recently. Let's jump onto some actionables, and then we'll take a couple of questions. DCA Sol on dupe.ag and stakewithvalidate.com. You notice I specifically say DCA. That's very obvious because it's a great tool. It does allow you to buy at different prices. And the number of people that as you start to onboard friends, you're going to tell them about Sol, and you're going to tell them just buy a little bit every day, and someone's going to go and they're just going to buy $200 at the top, and then they're going to lose interest. So don't want to do that. You do want to DCA. You can have a look at the Kamino pool if you're keen. The rain centers are for 2 weeks. So past 2 weeks, or probably even past a week or 10 days, I would probably take it out. Use the Cube Exchange. I mentioned this yesterday, and participate in HODL High minigame on Telegram. My referral link is below. Airdrop stuff. This is follow Jupiter on Drip and thank for a possible airdrop. So thanking specifically means that you use some of your credits and thank, and maybe you'd be selected. I'm not part of that, even though I'm part of the uplink, so I'm not sure how it's randomly done. But if you may as well do it. Play Bull Run on Infinex and join the Cube Exchange Spell Wallet airdrop on Telegram. So it is the weekend, so we'll probably end up after just a couple of questions here. So ping more there. We'll take questions for like 5 minutes, and then enjoy your weekend. Make sure you touch some grass. So starting from the beginning here. So bbSOL has a high staking reward followed closely by Sanctum INF. Does that sound right? It does not sound right, but I will show you where we would find that information. So if you go to Sanctum, we'll go to the Twitter and find their app. It will say what the LSTs are currently earning. So this is almost 10%. I don't know what, sometimes they boost their rewards initially and then they come down. So like, I think bbSOL was boosted and then it was reduced. So at present, Binance Sol's boosted. Sorry, excuse me. We won't go through all of them, but we will have a look at bbSOL. Obviously, bbSOL is pretty boosted quite often. But if you look through them all, unless we can just do it like that, I apologize. There is logic. Okay, so INF there, Kuma, I don't know what this is. HubSol, whatever. You can get whatever you like. You can get whatever SOL you want in some sort of liquid staking form, of course. Validate.com can't match those sort of things, but we do other things like educate the world and just try and get understanding of how staking works. So if you want to have some of these things, you're probably going to use them if you're using like DeFi. So you need to make sure that you've got a decent LTV ratio, loan to value ratio. If bbSOL, as an example, doesn't give you a whole lot of like borrowing power, then you wouldn't use it. So if you jump into here and you have a look at bbSOL, it's 55%, bbSOL is 55%. That's pretty cool. And then if we have a look at the LSCs down here, these are all, that's all fine. You can get more on MarginFi. But then INF, randomly, it's not an altcoin. It shouldn't be like this. You can't borrow against it. You can't put in $10,000 in worth and then borrow $5,000 worth of USDC. All right, Next questions. Solana has a gold peg stable. VXZA. I've never heard of it, so I'll just pull it up and then I'll share my screen. If it's, I'm not liking the sounds of it in any way, but let's have a look. VNXA, right? VNX Solana. So what we can generally, if it will say that it's a it will generally say that it has it's a token 2022 standard, and this doesn't say that it is. I don't have my wallet connected. Let me see if it's even unlocked. It's not, sorry. But this is not a token 2022. The only thing is it has freeze authority, which is pretty common, but I don't really understand how this works. Or if we have a look at the token, if it's even going up, if it like how valuable it is. And I don't know how long it's been out for, sorry. And now I'm used to Deck Screener, so it doesn't look like I know what I'm doing here. But I do, somewhat. Can we find it like that? It's 10 months old. And daily chart. Like, I don't understand how it kind of works. But the market cap's really small. I would stay away from it, to be honest, unless you really understand. And I don't know if Tether Gold is coming to Solana. It's urgent, don't I think? I don't think, like, gold will go up in value and it gets a little exciting, but it won't outperform BTC or anything like that, in my opinion. So I think if you're going to buy gold, people are probably going to buy gold and they want to buy it physical. It's harder, of course. But if it's Tether Gold, I don't really see the value in it personally. Are Mumu and Ponki sacred to the Hindu gods? I think that's a question for ChatGPT, to be perfectly honest. Because if you are kind of referring to the fact of, like, if someone's from India and this like resonates with them, it could go viral, something like this. But then if it's mocking Hinduism or whatever in some way, which I don't think it is, then maybe it doesn't do so well. Honky looks stronger than Mumu, just like quickly kind of glancing at it. But I don't know either of these, to be perfectly honest. I don't know them well enough. Is Moonstone the best crystal for crypto healing and protection? Is this another like token to have a look at? I don't know. I don't know what your joke is, but it's somewhat funny, so end it on that. The mega hat is a good play to buy right now for the election. Like, so these things are harder, for sure. They're really hard, and there's a decent amount of people just happy to unload based on like just gains happening. So I'm kind of staying away from all of these, but the bonk guy thinks some of these would do well. The Trump, the manga, maybe the Tramp, those sort of things. But this doesn't look very good. We've got Trump's hat, manga hat. I'm unsure. Like, these are lower market caps. There's a lot of risk, and there's just so many copycats in them. How do you build a community when you've got, it's just like a copy pasta? It doesn't really work. Copy pasta happens a lot in crypto, and it happened a lot in the previous cycle with like one liquidity pool created as a fork of Uniswap on, say, Ethereum. They put on Binance Smart Chain or whatever. They have a food coin, and then someone forks the code. They have a different food coin. It goes from eggplant to grapes or whatever, and they bring in people farm the rewards dump, and it just kind of goes into oblivion. Same thing happening here. what do I think of Wild Goat Coin? So it's really hard to stay on top of all these things, which is why what I've mentioned and keep on mentioning is join the Feed Printers Discord, get good at doing DLM stuff first, and then from there, like, then you can start to see, you can form a thesis, because I do have a thesis. Whatever's going to be like really cult-like would be fun. Like, imagine if there was a small kind of click of 100 people, then 1,000, then 10,000, and then 100,000 people that just like zoned in on something, and it became like, there are people on census reports where you say I'm Catholic or Hindu or Buddhist, and there are people that go other and they write Jedi. That's formed a bit of a cult. Those sort of things are cool. This Wild Goat Coin, with this volume and everything, like, it's on different blockchains. There's copycats everywhere. I don't dig it, but it looks like it's done okay recently, but we've zoomed out kind of. No, I don't know. It's been mentioned before. I'm not going to look at it next time because I don't think it looks good. Do you hold any amount of ETH? Yeah, I have a small amount of ETH. FTX has most of it. Is it possible that Kamino is offering a 10% APY lending PYUSD and you need to pay a 3% APY to borrow back USDE? This way you should earn even if Athena's dollar is going to crash to 0.5. So, I mean, it is certainly possible, but if something, you don't want to be in any asset that can depeg, I assure you. So if we go into the Athena market, yes, you can go and borrow here, you can supply here, borrow at this rate. You can, and then from there, if you wanted to, you could go and swap that for USDC or whatever, and then you just have that loan on, but you're just making 5% here. You're making 5% on some sort of system of what are we calling here? Like, just depositing it and circling the rewards. I don't know if you get any points from using this. And if USDE went down in value and you borrowed it, as long as you weren't holding USDE, if you swapped it straight for USDC or something, that would be good, because then you would have to pay back less value. But if it went up in value, it wouldn't be good. But I don't think that would happen. But yes, you can do it like this. I don't think it's worth the trouble, to be honest. I think if you've got a decent amount of USDC sitting there, or PYUSD, you probably want to put some into Kamino, some into Lulo, and try and work a little bit into DLMMs to farm. But yeah, you could do it. I am personally, I think I did nothing wrong, to be honest. Okay, so this is a very good question. So we're going to go a little bit over. So I'll blow it up again. So I don't think MarginFi did anything wrong, to be honest. You can certainly use it, and you probably will get outperformed airdrop potentially if they ever actually do one. The thing is, you have to follow the money and you have to follow trust. And Mac, from here, I've never pinged him and said, "Hey, let's do a podcast," but I've said, "Let's do a podcast," and then generally someone would watch this and say, "Hey, Seb says do a podcast," reach out to him. He doesn't follow me, which is fine. Not everyone has to follow me, but he has an engaging strategy that he tried, which he said was doing very, very well. And it just, I don't think it put investor confidence out like he would do video calls, live videos and record videos with his shirt off. And then, I can't remember what his name is actually, but then his co-founder had a bit of a breakdown. I don't want to remind anyone of this, so I won't, even though I remember his name, I won't say it. But basically, it was just a bad MarginFi kind of it wasn't handled very well. Public relations is very important. There's a lot of trust there, right? And Solana's not open source. It's not very open source friendly. So you do need to trust the teams because they're holding your crypto. They basically have access to your crypto. They could change code and do all sorts of things if they didn't have trust. And that's how we are at present. He had a mental breakdown. They mentioned, and just a bit of a Twitter one. I think he was okay. He left the team, and now Mac's over there as well. He's doing whatever he's doing, and then from that point, they started to lose a massive amount of TVL, and that's when like my influence isn't massive. So it's just the fact that like you have to follow the money. Oh, they also said like we have no plans of a token, or they're kind of like that, and this is what the growth was like. It grew and grew. It was significantly bigger than Kamino, and then went up here, and then it boom, and then even though Solana price has kind of come up, gone down, like it actually hasn't done anything really to attract more users. So if this happens to you in a bull run, you can't say, I don't think they did anything wrong, because they clearly did. And then if this happens, you know, and I have been telling people about it for some time, and with like, there's no referral program or anything. Like there's no, they've just been growing because they've been shipping stuff. And I don't think my influence is big enough to move billions in the market. That's my viewpoint. Am I still supporting the heist? No, I should probably take down those videos. That's a very good point. So the heist is like they did well, and then they stopped doing well, and then they didn't really take feedback, and then they've had internal issues with whatever the community, and then they've gone off to build something else. Longwood Games is what? Longwood Labs or something. They've gone off to buy something else. Sorry, to build something else. DeFi Dungeons. This is a little bit disappointing. However, it could potentially do well because they've also they shipped another game beforehand called Remnants, and then it's Play the Heist, and now it's kind of capital's rotating into DeFi Dungeons. They did a pre-sale. It may have a little bit of bullish sentiment there, but I think it's one of those things of like the people with money that buy the pre-sale are going to pump it up on your timeline. You'll jump in, and then you'll be exit liquidity. Having said that, it could be kind of fun, but no, the heist, it hasn't been doing well, and I no longer play there with it. Yeah, of course. You think Bonk can reach a $10 billion market cap? Yeah, I think $30 billion. That's of course not financial advice, but I do think that could happen for sure. It'd be cool to swap back the USDC borrowed for Kamino and then use them for liquidity pool lending markets. Kamino 2, I'll start liquid your position only when USDC squeezed to $1.86. Yeah, I don't think USDE is going to go down or up in value. It's going to pretty much keep its peg. So you could do it like that if you're keen. Selling any of your dupe around the peak of the bull? Probably. I think everyone should, certainly consider the idea of taking profits. You don't want to leave the bags kind of held, but that doesn't mean that you don't re-enter later on. So as soon as, like even SOL, like I'm going to sell SOL, what I think is going to be near the peak, but it doesn't mean when things start to come down that I don't start buying again. And with dupe, yeah, with pretty much all tokens, I think that's how most people think. All right, thanks very much for joining. Enjoy tomorrow as your rest day, and we'll catch you on Monday.